What on earth did they do to Shrek? Oh my god! This is a direct betrayal to the core idea of what Shrek was meant to be in the first place. Because he's Disneyfied now.
No, Shrek 5 is not being Disneyfied. You can tell straight away when people have no idea about character design and animation who say such comments so brazenly. But worry not, I'll explain it to you. In case you didn't hear, Shrek is getting a 5th sequel in a series that has already had 2 spin-off titles, effectively making it the 7th film in the Shrek franchise. Universal put out a 28-second teaser trailer for the new film, and boy does it have people's collective panties in a twist. The story seems to see our characters about 15 years later from the 4th film in the series, where Shrek and Fiona have babies together. Our main protagonists have been given a digital makeover of sorts, and some side characters have been redesigned as well, and all hell broke loose. The fact of the matter is, the people criticizing Shrek's redesign are clinging to old, outdated character models that were created on vastly inferior technology over 20 years ago. The first Shrek came out in 2001. In case you guys can't do math, that was 24 years ago. Quite a long time to keep the same design from now ancient animation tech. Animated character designs are bound to be tweaked over time, especially as technology progresses throughout the years, or when new artists take control of a particular IP. This is nothing new. If you look back through the last century, several major characters have been redesigned at least half a dozen times. We're talking anything from Bugs Bunny to Mickey Mouse to Tom and Jerry, and that's not even including modern cartoon series. It's inevitable. Your favorite cartoon characters are going to be redesigned over and over and over again. That said, objectively speaking, are these designs better or worse than their predecessors? Well, there is no strict objectivity here. We have people shitting their pants over CGI wrinkles, for God's sakes. However, in terms of anatomy, animation, and 3D modeling, there are quite a few things to discuss in terms of comparing these new designs to their older counterparts. Let's start with Shrek himself. Let's compare his new model with his older counterpart. His older counterpart seems to have a bit of a snub nose and less anatomically correct. His eyes are spaced a bit far apart, which lends him a bit of a creepy appearance. But the shape of his eyes is this odd almond shape that looks a bit early CGI, if you know what I'm saying. Same goes for his mouth, as it has this weird look to it, like there weren't enough polygons in the model to fully express himself in subtle ways. The basic idea of his character is there, but there's little room for nuance or ability to deviate from a few basic blend shape expressions. Now let's look at his newer model. We can see Shrek looks a bit older here. He's got crow's feet at the corner of his eyes, his nose looks way better looking, in my opinion, his mouth looks more expressive but not obnoxiously so, and his eyes most importantly don't have that weird wide almond shaped appearance anymore, which is a very good thing. His eyebrows also look a lot better, and show a better capability for emotion. His cranium also looks a bit narrower as well. I guess his brain shrunk over time. His ears look mostly the same, although perhaps a tad more ear-like. Overall, his appearance looks like more of an evolution of his previous incarnation, and not the steep departure people are making it out to be. A few notable things as well. His shirt he's wearing also has a bit more of a green sleeves quality to it, if you get what I mean. His vest also looks a bit more tattered, but the texture is way less obnoxious and more leathery than his earlier counterpart's vest as well. Textures, lighting, all received a glorious upgrade it looks like as well. Now let's look at Donkey, Shrek's bestie. Now, his former appearance had this bizarre, half cartoon, half realistic, kinda uncanny vibe to it. Some people like that style and think it holds a certain charm to it, but honestly, it just looks outdated and bizarre to me looking back. Especially the fur looks incredibly fake, like a chia pet or something. I know some people think that's the charm of these movies, but honestly that was just down to the technology at the time not being able to produce the expressiveness that these characters required. I also don't understand how expressiveness equates to Disney equates to bad. I'm sorry, but Disney does not hold a monopoly on expressive characters. Expressiveness is a good thing overall for any characters to have in an animated movie. That's why it's animated. Donkey's always been very expressive, but his character model was holding him back in a lot of ways in my opinion, and I think his redesign addresses these problems in a few key ways. His fur looks a lot better now, and more like how realistic fur on a donkey might look, which if we're going for that cheesy, cartoony yet realistic style, this actually looks better in that regard. His eyes are closer together now, which I think looks way better. His nose is flatter, which I think helps to show the expressiveness in his eyes better. Plus, he can now emote with his nostrils, which is a neat bonus. His teeth and mouth look way way more expressive as well, which is exactly what you want from Donkey's character. I've seen some people say that Donkey has a new tuft of fur on his chin, but if you look back, that's always been there on his model. Now let's shift our gaze to Fiona. Honestly, she looks very similar to me now as she did before, if not a bit chunkier now. Her neck looks thicker and her eyes a bit smaller. She's got the same basic upgrades that Shrek got, but she looks a little bit more homelier now. Her previous designs also came with royal dresses and a bit more effort put into the hairstyles, so depending on how you like Fiona to look, she just looks a little bit different now. The magic mirror also received a pretty decent upgrade to his appearance. Before he looked a bit too smooth, and again, more of that early CG look that just screams Uncanny Valley. The expressiveness just wasn't there yet, and with this new model, you see the same facial features but with a much better 3D model, and overall way more appeal. His features are a bit more chiseled now, which I think accentuates his royal pedigree. I've also seen some people complain about Pinocchio's appearance in this teaser as well, so let's dissect him real quick. Now, right off the bat, I can see why people have a problem with how this new Pinocchio looks. His design looks way more simplified, he seems to be made of plastic now instead of wood, and his textures look quite a bit more subdued than his obviously wooden appearance from previous entries. I'm just gonna say to this criticism, I can certainly understand it, but I would urge people to wait for the actual movie to come out, which is at the end of 2026, so we're a ways out still. I believe there is a reason Pinocchio is donning a more plasticky appearance now, and that probably has something to do with the story. Perhaps his character arc will revolve around him trying to get around his issues with the truth by getting a plastic makeover to hopefully fix the issue. Plastic can't grow or feel anything, so he probably thinks this will fix his problem. Now, I know what you're thinking. His nose grew in the trailer, so this can't be the case. Well, they wouldn't give all the plot away in a single teaser, would they? Of course not. But this is an obvious joke to make about his character in the teaser, and I doubt anything in this teaser will actually be in the movie, other than the characters themselves and the themes they're mocking. There's also the matter of Shrek and Fiona's daughter, which is now being voiced by Zendaya. I really don't have anything to say because you can't really compare this adult model to babies, so I'm just going to say she's basically got the same upgrades as Shrek and Fiona, and just leave it at that. Cool model though, I guess. I believe this teaser's emphasis on satirizing TikTok and the idiotic trends on there, with Shrek looking hunky or twerking, will be part of the film's new angle to satirize our current culture. Perhaps how people are so obsessed with capitalizing on trends and putting out content instead of holding on to anything real or magical in the world. I guess we'll soon see for sure. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Gets me in the algorithm and all that good shit. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.
Oh, fuck.